This is Adam and the Analog, episode 46. This week, we're doing Theme Swap. We'll be suggesting a new theme for some of our favorite games. Welcome to Adam and the Analog, episode 46. I'm your host, Corey Murphy.
Hey, and I'm your other host, Harrison Dunn. And, I gotta say, I'm gonna just jump right into it. A mutual friend of ours made a whole bunch of mini banana breads, and they look like they're in the shape of a log. So Lauren was saying banana log a lot, and she's like, that sounds like analog, so you should rename your podcast. Here we are. Welcome to Adamantly Banana Log.
Okay. I was wondering how that was going to connect back to what we're doing here. I like it. Adamantly Banana Log.
Yep. Banana Log podcast.
It's official. But we got to start all over with the branding then. We're going to axe the logo. We're going to get a new website.
Just wash it in yellow. It'll be fine.
Harrison, I've been busy. How about you?
You know what? Yep, things are busy. We're keeping agile, we're keeping on our toes, reacting to every bad thing that happens.
Yeah, well, we don't need to go down that road, but it's been a lot of good things happening too. I mean, I saw the Minecraft movie yesterday.
How was that? Did you like it?
So I went into it. First of all, I don't really have a whole lot of interest in seeing it to begin with, or I didn't, I should say. But my brothers wanted to see it, so I took them. And after I bought tickets, I saw that the reviews were really bad for it. I was like, oh crap, I gotta sit through a crappy movie now too. But I was pleasantly surprised. It was really fun. It's like visually really kind of cool to look at. You look into this distant, vast Minecraft world and on the big screen with like really high resolution I guess CGI is the thing. I don't know. But also the characters were really fun. Jason Momoa was hysterical in there. He was this retro video game champion that had kind of become washed up in his older age. For the most part, I didn't really know what the heck was going on half the time. It was really bizarre.
I have a handful of friends who have seen it and have said nothing but the same of like, it's just a really good time.
Yeah.
No one said it was a good movie, but everyone said it was a really good time.
No, plot-wise, it was like a wild ride, but I was entertained, and I didn't even fall asleep that much.
Oh, aren't you one of those people who's notorious for falling asleep during movies?
Yeah, especially when you put me in a dream lounger and I recline all the way back. Yeah, I'm done for. I made it to like the end of the movie and I passed out for like, I don't know, 2 minutes maybe. So I missed some vital plot point where, well, I won't spoil anything, but my brothers filled me in on that after the fact and it tied it all together for me.
Is that the one where Notch comes out of the ground and he's like, look at me, I've got a bunch of controversial viewpoints and I'm going to fight you now.
Oh, is that a thing? I don't know that about Notch.
Oh yeah, I think so. I don't know. Maybe I'm telling it the bad secondhand story. Who knows? I guess
knows?
if you have knowledge otherwise, you can email us at adamantlyanalog@gmail.com and I will hopefully respond to you.
You never miss one of those opportunities, Harrison.
Nah, I set myself up all the time. Practice in the mirror.
Well, we should probably get to our board game talk since this has nothing to do with it. I guess it's adjacent, but not analog.
Yeah.
In
a way. Yeah, it's almost like we're retheming our podcast. Like we like this podcast so much, we decided to just do it again, but with a different theme.
I tend to believe that people that are into Euro games are likely to be interested in Minecraft too. There's some similarities. But anyways, I digress. What we're talking about today is rethemes. And who knows, Minecraft might come up too. But basically, we're taking games that already exist and saying, hey, wouldn't it be fun if, and coming up with a potential retheme, a hypothetical retheme for them. But who knows, with the way that they're coming out with remakes, remasters, and new editions of games these days, it may only be a matter of time before all of these are true.
Yeah, for sure. And this was like partially inspired by that Zombie Agricola thing, right? Couple episodes back. I mean, this is just kind of a fun topic. This is for us. This isn't for you, dear listeners. This is for us just to talk about games and then goof about. But you're welcome to stay and listen. Please stay and listen.
Yeah. What have you been playing this week, Harrison?
So I had the pleasure of having 4 opportunities to play Deep Regrets in 24 hours. It's a bit of a hyperbole, but somebody on our event for our weekly game night said, "I'm bringing Deep Regrets," and then I showed up to work, and a coworker said, "I just got Deep Regrets. Hey, look at it." And then 2 people ended up coming to game night with Deep Regrets, and then when we were learning to play it, a third person came over and helped us out with a rule that we didn't understand fully. So it was coming at us from all sides. People have this. This is the new one from, I think it's Tetix Games. They did the oh gosh, what's that? The Abominations or Monster Parts game prior.
Okay.
I did a little bit of research on the designer. Apparently, he used to be in video games, and he worked on the music for
Rogue Legacy?
yeah, Rogue Legacy. I absolutely loved that game. It's a cool 2D side-scrolling roguelite action game. Um, so anyway, this is a game about fishing in the depths and fishing up all these horrible eldritch Cthulhu deep horror things. The whole presentation is kind of like the cartoony, but also pretty graphic. There's severed body parts and
Mhm.
very grotesque looking things, misshapen figures, and it has a very strong artistic presence and theme, like a very cool atmosphere that it evokes. You've seen this one around, right?
No, I'm hearing of it for the first time right now.
Oh yeah, it was on Kickstarter last year. A fairly quick
Huh,
delivery, quick turnaround for this, which is really cool. Nice
okay.
production, wonderful art. The whole thing was manufactured with the with a sense for being ecologically sourced. So
Okay.
it comes wrapped in a newspaper instead of plastic. Like what you might get with a fresh fish.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's
I'm
super cool. The whole production is nice,
I'm
and
seeing
yet,
pictures of the newspaper wrapping, it's really cool, and
yeah,
what
yeah,
a neat trend to have going on right now, I love it.
yeah. Gameplay, I don't think it was for me. It
Oh, really?
I was ended up being just a little frustrated, and it was probably more because I wanted the game to be more than it was. It felt it felt perfect for the people who are showing up just for that theme. Like when this game came on Kickstarter, when this game lands on someone's shelf, and you know, your average board gamer walks into the store, sees it as a game. It is fairly light, very easy to learn. They're going to absolutely
Mhm.
love this, and it the cards themselves tell like these crazy stories, and it creates a great atmosphere. The gameplay and the production are just a little bit. They push my my industry buttons a bit. Like
Okay.
you have 9 stacks of cards that have different fish that you're different piles of fish that you're collecting from, but you're constantly like flipping over cards and manipulating those and putting cards on the bottom, and they're almost next to each other on this board. So every time you touch a stack of cards, it sends the rest of them spinning, and it could have used a developer or some more time in the oven.
Hmm.
But I think there are a lot of people who are really going to like this. I think it's going to do really well. And also, I want to try it again just because I don't think that I understood the rules fully the first time through, or didn't have my expectations set right for what kind of game it is. And I think going into it more with the mindset of, okay, the gameplay is not going to be amazing, but the stories that you and your friends are going to experience by playing this thing are going to be crazy. Like I'm still talking
Mm.
about one of the things that happened to me. But I won't say it here. One, because it's incredibly indecent, non-family friendly, and two, I don't want to spoil it for someone.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a Deep Regrets. Just came out from Kickstarter. Yeah.
I'm seeing cooperative and push your luck and set collection and market and all sorts of different mechanisms listed here. Is there a lot of random going on? Lots of
It's
dice too.
not cooperative. There are elements where like you're sort of existing in the same space and you can make choices that negatively impact all players, but it's definitely not cooperative.
Okay. Huh.
Or maybe we just played it that wrong.
Yeah.
um, yeah, there's a lot of randomness. There's 3 decks of cards and lots of different random things, different kinds of dice. You're drawing different kinds of dice from a bag and then rolling all those and
Mm.
drawing 5 deck cards from a single deck and keeping 3 of them, and yeah, it's all over
Hmm.
the place. But it's a cool thing to exist, and I'll end on the art is incredible. If
Yeah.
nothing else, yeah, having it as a piece of art is pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks like an old Nickelodeon cartoon.
Yeah, a little bit kind of like the really gross out Ren and Stimpy type things, but a
Yes,
little bit
yeah.
more modernized and more crisp and more clean.
Fairly Odd Parents or something. So I got to play one of my favorite games of all time. Actually, two of them in the last week. I played Raw the other day. Love Raw, and I reaffirmed that it was one of my favorites because I had a great time playing it. But on Monday we played Spirit Island, and Spirit Island's a blast. It's one of those games that you set up on the table and you look at all the stuff in front of you and you start reading through all the cards in your hand and your spirit and all the things that your spirit can do, and you're like, man, I don't know if I really have the energy for this right now, especially on a Monday. It was a Monday night. And I was like, I don't know, maybe we should just play something else. I almost put it away. But once we got it going, I was like, oh yeah, I love this game.
Yep.
And immediately found the energy to take it down. And honestly, you can play with all sorts of varying levels of difficulty, ratcheting up, and I'm happy just playing it on easy mode and just crushing the invaders. It's fun to win.
That's a super solid game. I almost had to teach that yesterday.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Somebody was threatening to sell it, and I was like, "No, if you've never played it, you should play it at least once." And
Yeah.
their response was, "Well, I don't know how to play it. It's a big game. Can you teach it?" And I was like, "Probably, but let's not do it tonight. Let me brush up on the rules. We'll do it next week."
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some weird corner case stuff I always have to look up when I play, but it does a pretty good job of walking you through it. The board
Hmm.
that has that tracks the fear has a kind
Yeah.
of a checklist of the events as they pass through. Once you start to introduce expansions, though, it gets a little chunkier and a little clunkier. And we have Jagged Earth, which is a pretty big expansion. The box for Jagged Earth is as big as the base game box, and in order
Hmm.
to fit everything back in them, I need to keep both boxes now because, like, my stuff is sleeved, and there's just so many things now. So it is not only tedious to play, it is also a hassle to set up. But once again, it's worth it, big time. Great game, very thought provoking, and creates some good cooperation between you and your teammates, and
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
feels fun.
And it's like one of the hallmark cooperative games for not having a quarterbacking problem.
Yeah,
There's
yes,
so
exactly.
much information in that game that not it's impossible for one player to really just keep that all together.
In fact, I'd even take that a step further and say it promotes collaboration more than any of these other games do.
Hmm.
Not only does it make it impossible to quarterback, it also, like you really can't be successful unless you work with your teammates.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, and then finally, I got to play the birthday game. Have you played this one, Harrison?
I see you put that on the show notes, and I thought that that was a joke because you had a birthday recently, didn't you?
I did have a birthday. The reason I joke about this is because I do have the birthday game, but it is a one of a kind special edition gift from my nieces who are 5 and 3, or
Oh,
5 and 2, almost 3, and they. It was the sweetest thing. I have this giant poster board. It's basically Candyland. They created all these rules for me, and there's a deck of cards that say skip a space and things like that. It's awesome. It's gonna stay in my collection.
that's valuable shelf space. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can either, go a quarter of the way around the board and jump on the unicorn bridge and cut way across, or you can go too far and then accidentally land on the space to backtrack on the alien bridge and get sent way the heck back and completely lose the game. They could probably use a developer too, but that's not the point. It's
No,
it's amazing.
cool. I'm gonna piggyback on that. You know, last year you and I got together for a mutual friend's birthday, who
Mhm.
has the same birthday as me, and we did a little magic draft,
Yep.
and I gave him some custom magic cards. I put art from some of my video games that I've made in the past, and put them onto magic cards. And these were all games that he had done the music for. So I thought, oh, this is a cool birthday gift, and he's making a magic cube, so he can put those like custom ones in. Well, apparently he had done the same thing for me, which you probably knew about because I
Oh
think
yeah.
you gave these kind of party favors to most people.
Yeah.
But I didn't know this was a thing until today when Lauren came home from work because they work together and says, "Oh, hey, I got this from John." He says this is a belated birthday party favor. And lo and behold, I open it up. He also made custom Magic cards for
Oh,
me
nice.
at the same time. We just I had to leave early because we had a home emergency, so he never
That's
got to give
right.
them to
Yeah.
me. Yeah, so I'm sitting in front of 5 dog tokens for Magic the Gathering that have a picture of my dog on them and say "Choop" because we call him Choop.
That
And
goes
it's
back a long time. We've been passing things like that back and forth. We've got a lot of tokens with pets on them these days. It's sort of
well,
fun.
I'm flattered to be included. This is so cool. Like I opened it
Yeah.
and I just gave me the biggest smile. So
Yeah.
yeah, custom board game things for your gamer friends. That's the way to go. Don't get them a game. They already have all the games they want. Do a little custom thing. It's a cool gift.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Board gamers are notorious for buying all of the things that they could possibly include in their game box.
Yep.
Every card is sleeved, they upgrade their components, they get inserts and stuff. What is there that like people haven't thought of yet? And it makes me think that there's got to be some things out there. You know, I bought a clamp that holds my boards flat on the table, for example. But what about a customized first player token that can be used with any game? You don't see a lot of that
Oh,
like on Etsy and stuff,
there you go.
but I
Hey,
think we need to make
Corey,
an adamantly analog one.
we gotta stop this right now. We gotta cut this from the episode so we can put it in another episode, make a whole episode on this.
Yeah. So, for today's topic, we're going to talk about games with a new theme, meaning that we are going to offer hypothetical re-themes for games that already exist. Now, I'm going to steal the first player rule from the aforementioned The Birthday game created by my nieces, who shall remain nameless for security reasons. But,
Excellent, excellent.
and that first player rule is the player whose birthday is up next goes first. Having just had
Oh,
my birthday, hence the birthday game, that could only be you, Harrison, and we don't even have
yep.
to give away your date,
Yep. Yep.
even though you're a turkey
It
boy.
is. It is. How dare you? All right. Well, fine. I accept it. I was really excited to talk about this one just because like it kind of lets us go back and talk about some of maybe those games we talked about before, but offer something new of a different conversation point or different take on these things.
Mhm.
Um, and so my first pick, I'm going to go back and I'll weave a little story. Back when I first started volunteering at PAX and Gen Con for board game companies, I worked with Direwolf, or Direwolf Digital as they were known back then. And they released Clank, and everyone was just super excited about it. And we had a team dinner one night where all the other volunteers were kind of grilling the team about, oh, what's next for Clank? What's next for Clank? Is there going to be anything? I think they had announced Clank in Space at this point, so the idea of, oh, you can do Clank with other settings was already in there. But somebody gave one suggestion that I was like, okay, that's overdone, but it's a perfect fit. And so I want to see Clank Thulu. I want to see Clank, but with the Cthulhu theme, right?
Yeah,
Yes, Cthulhu
public
games
domain,
are
right?
overdone. There's a lot of them. But I think one of the biggest complaints people have about Cthulhu games, or at least I have about Cthulhu games, is that they often pit you as like fighting Cthulhu or fighting these monsters, which I don't know. The point of them in all the books is that they're supposed to be these unknowable, undefeatable things, right? And what's more undefeatable than the dragon in Clank? You can't fight that thing. No. But aside, like, so Clank is a deck building game in which you are navigating through a dungeon to collect treasure and then try to escape while trying to make as little noise as possible, or at least less noise than your friends. And that is represented by these little Clank cubes, and they get tossed into a bag, and then you draw them out randomly when the dragon attacks. And that sounds like a perfect madness mechanic. You know, you can try to be as safe as possible as you are exploring these deep, dark secrets of the universe. But maybe you push your luck. Maybe you dip into some dark magic to get a little bit, ahead of the game. And then, Elder God sees you and you go mad. I think there's lots of room there for it, right? That'd be kind of
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I think so. You the idea of going insane is a recurring theme in the Cthulhu games, and I think Clank certainly lends itself to that. Adding sanity cards or insanity cards to your deck as a detrimental effect would be kind of a fun way to like water your deck down to the point where your sanity doesn't allow you to function as well as you do when your brain is operating properly.
Yeah, yeah, you could lean into it that way. You could, make certain paths on the board are easier to navigate if you're more mad or less mad or something. That's my first pick. Clank, a deck building adventure as Clank Thulu.
All right, my first pick is Hansa Teutonica as literally anything else. But specifically Hansa in space, because I'm trying to make sense of the fact that you're building routes in this game, and what's a better way to do that than to pave pathways to distant planets? Huh?
Yeah, yeah, I can see it.
Hansa Teutonica is the most dry, brown, and cliche game that ever exists. In appearance, that is, but mechanically, it's so good. It's so interactive. It's so fast paced, and it involves upgrading your abilities, which I didn't expect from the box. It didn't seem like that kind of game. And so something with a little bit more flavor, with a little bit more theme, such as space travel and exploration, seems like it could allow for players to get involved in a game that they would never otherwise be interested in playing. I find myself having to convince people, no, trust me, it'll be fun. To no avail. I almost never get this game played.
It's beige. Its name doesn't mean anything to you. Trust me, you'll like it.
Yeah. And like I've got the big box, which includes like 5 boards in it. I've only ever played the first one because I just teach it to people. And I do it at conventions, so it's not like a group that I can get together and be like, let's explore further. But
Mhm.
I say, if this were something that would be inherently appealing just by theme as well as a good game, I mean, it's a dual threat. This thing would take down the BGG top 100 in no time.
Yeah, that's a super solid pick. Yeah, I still haven't played it, so here's the obligatory put it on the list.
Yeah,
But every
definitely.
time you bring it up, it's just like, yeah, no, this game is supposed to be very good. It's been on my BGG wish list for forever, but I have a tough time convincing myself to actually pick it up because it does look so drab and unapproachable at first glance.
Yeah, and honorable mention to Concordia, which was the contender for this slot because it was another one. It's like as anything else, another game that I love the mechanics of, but just doesn't really sell itself very well.
Mhm.
Okay, and then is Hansa Teutonica as Hansa in space.
All right. Well, my second pick, I don't have a big lead up story for this one, but it is another deck building type game. And I want to see a new theme for Great Western Trail. So, Great Western Trail is already kind of doing this where they're doing like their sheep version or their different cow version, with their own twists. But let me ask you, we've got all these IP games for Marvel and less so DC and Disney. And like Disney's sort of getting to the point where they're starting to reach into their more specific stuff. Like they just announced and released a video game about brewing potions for Disney villains as a potionista.
Uh-huh.
Uh, eh, and so I want to see a version of Great Western Trail based around Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. Okay? So
What?
you're instead of a deck of cattle that you're driving across the country or whatever you do in Great Western Trail, you instead have a deck of young mutants that you are training as you take them through a curriculum of learning how to use their powers and if running courses through the danger room and then ultimately graduation maybe and then you get to join the X-Men team, that sort of thing. So adding new characters to your deck is like new students that you're trying to bring in, and oh man, I'm just getting goosebumps talking about it. Like, let's get a really specific Marvel game, not just like a this game's Marvel and look, it has Wolverine and Iron Man, like everything Marvel, right? Haha. Let's get specific. Let's dive into those specific stories in that universe. And the Great Western Trail system is just great, right? I just wanted I want an excuse to talk about that game.
That's a wild one. I definitely wasn't expecting you to go there. The thing about Great Western Trail is the cows in your deck, they don't do anything. They're just numbers and colors. So the
Right?
Marvel version of this, they'd have to have some kinds of abilities and effects in order to add that flavor, don't you think?
Not necessarily. I mean, what if
And they
you just have like a deck of students, but then when you reset and do your next route, you get a different deck, like something that was influenced by your previous one. But maybe it's a crazy new version where you take a whole deck through this route, and then you get the next graduating class, which is a completely new deck. Hold on, strike that from the record. I need to go design a game.
That's not right.
Yeah, I think this would be cool. And anyway, that's my pick. Let's see some Great Western Trail action with Marvel. Come on, let's do it, guys.
All right. My second pick is Comic Hunters as vinyl record hunters or vinyl hunters. And we all know that Comic Hunters is an awesome game, but we also know that Comic Hunters is a big heap of crappy production. And I'm sorry to say it because I do love the game and I have, taken care of the production by adding and injecting another $35 worth of Etsy solutions to that. But I think the other thing about it is it's such an approachable theme and concept that doing something like Comic Hunters with a Marvel IP tagged on top of it, while it draws a lot of people into the game to begin with, it also pushes some people away that would otherwise be interested in the game. So I think something a little more innocuous of a theme, a little more universal and worldly of a theme might be a good way to get others involved that would never have touched Comic Hunters because of the Marvel theme. And to me, vinyl is just one example of what that could be. Vinyl seems like a cool collectible. I think the comic people get a little bit of a bad rap unnecessarily. I'm a comic person myself. But how could this be a table that you'd be happy to display on your shelf if you're a closeted comic hunter? I don't know, vinyl records. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter, but there's a lot of cool stuff happening in the world of vinyl. There's Record Store Day, and people are trading rare and limited run pressed copies of certain records, and I think there's a lot there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know everything there is to know about board games or every game out there, but that seems like a hobby that is not represented, right? So maybe this would be the wingspan of of the vinyl community, right? All then
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
represented, and now birders are gamers, now vinyl collectors are gamers too. Uh, secret, everyone's a gamer. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a good point. I did find a Biblios re-theme that's like a vinyl style one with
What?
rather
Really?
than the different suits in the game, they're different bands, and you can find different records for those bands. So it's like the Beatles and Rolling Stones and Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that. I don't remember exactly who appeared in this, but you'll find it if you search for Biblios re-themes on the internet. But anyways, my pick is Comic Hunters as vinyl record hunters.
Didn't Biblios just get re-implemented as that other one was like for the Queen or
Yeah, for the
for the
King and
King?
Me,
For
that
the
was
King
like
and
an
Me, okay.
official reprint of the game, but
Oh,
this is an
okay.
unofficial fan made one. I'm referring
Gotcha, gotcha. Oh yeah, that territory is totally ripe. I didn't even go down that territory. That's a big rabbit hole. Oh boy.
to. What's that? Fan made ones?
Fan made rethemes.
Yeah.
I got something on that in a bit. I'm super glad you picked this one because I had it on my short list, but I couldn't think of like a theme that I was excited to talk about as a retheme.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up. Biggest question though, would you do circular cards?
Ooh, that would be something. Like little coasters or something. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe it could be fun. Although the record cases are little squares, so maybe squares would be better.
I did think about that too, and you get a lot more art on the
Yeah,
squares.
yeah. It's because you're trading the jackets are what you're looking at.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go on to my third and final pick. Moving right along here. I did inadvertently say the name of the game that I wanted to talk about next, but I'm just gonna go ahead with it anyway. We're not gonna pivot here. Not gonna barrel over. And that is Wingspan. You know, people love their big stack of bird cards. People love their big stack of dragon cards, and now their big stack of fish cards. But Corey, you know what else has a large variety of things that it belongs to, and they live in different environments, and you collect them?
What?
Uh, Pokemon. Yeah.
Oh,
Can we
yeah.
can we see a Pokespan? Right. I mean, So you mentioned fan made games. There's someone on Reddit or something that made a homemade Pokemon version of Carcassonne where they took all the graphics from the original like Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow games and laid them over on tiles. So you're actually building like routes and Pokestops and little towns and things like that. It's super cool. 100% you could do this for Wingspan, right? Just have it. I mean, they got over 1,000 Pokemon now. You could definitely fill out a base game and an expansion or two, right?
Yeah.
It's a shame that the Pokemon company seems to be pretty uh, tight with the rights to that. You don't see a lot of the licensed Pokemon games outside of was it or Hasbro or Mattel that has it. So you see those like, mass market ones, but they
Yeah.
even got like Pokemon Splendor in South Korea. Why don't we get that? That looks super
Mhm.
cool. I've seen a physical copy of that in person, and I was like, oh man, that would be so cool to have. I don't know that I'd play it because like Splendor's a good game, but I don't think even it being Pokemon is going to get me to play it all the time. uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, hey, Jamie Stegmaier, go call Mr. Pokemon Company and say, let's do a Wingspan. That's how games get made these days. I know.
Nice. Yeah, that would be fun. I would play some Pokemon Wingspan. There's a lot of like little fun factoids on the bottom of the Wingspan cards. I would love to read about Gyarados evolves from Magikarp, and you have to do this and this and this, and deal with him splashing for 35 hours in the game in order for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Fun
Yep.
facts, and then the sizes are always listed on them too.
You know, we
So
could actually do just a 1-for-1 art swap on the original Wingspan, right? Because Pokemon hatch from eggs, and you already got eggs in Wingspan, so there you go.
yeah.
All right, that is my third and final pick, Wingspan as Pokespan.
Okay. You use this as an example for the show theme to begin with. So now I'm feeling like unoriginal with my third pick.
I
But
didn't
I'm
mean to
gonna
do that
just
to you, Corey. Do it anyway. Do it
I'm
anyway. I
gonna
want to
just
hear it.
go I'm gonna move forward with it. It's Agricola as Minecraft Ola. or Stardew
We,
Valley Ola.
we need to workshop that name.
Well, having just watched the Minecraft movie, my mind was on Minecraft. And I was trying to think of a game that could really pull that off. And I think Agricola is the one. There's some theme, massaging that needs to be done with the fact that a lot of the resources will just kind of pool up as long as you don't collect them.
Hmm.
In Minecraft, it's not really like that. You have to craft your tools and use them to harvest those resources. But crafting is a big part of it. I mean, you're combining different resources to get a well or an oven and things like that. So I think with the core mechanics being place a worker, get the stuff, unlock more potential for mining and resource collection throughout the game as you uncover new cards. I think there's something there. Add in that some of the cards are tools and weapons of different qualities and different materials, and all of a sudden you got a Minecraft game.
I think it'd be really cool and probably totally doable. You play Agricola inside of Minecraft. You gotta
Wow.
you gotta build the fences and put down your crops and get a cow onto the space.
hmm And if you don't eat every harvest, your characters are miserable and you lose all your points.
Yes, that too. Well, that's just regular Minecraft.
Yeah, and of
But
course, Minecraft has zombies in it. Regular Minecraft has zombies in it. So we're getting closer and closer to the example of Agricola zombie to begin with.
excellent. Yep, perfect. Nailed
Well, you
it.
got creepers too, and chicken jockeys, which that's a meme right now. You know about that?
I have no idea what chicken jockeys are, but I can only assume it is a person riding a chicken.
No, it's a zombie riding a chicken, and in the movie, Jack Black says "chicken jockey" at some point, and that's like all of the teenage boys' cue to just go crazy and spill their popcorn and drinks all over the movie theater until they get kicked out. It's a thing.
That sounds terrible. Did you
I
have
know
to
it's
witness that
stupid.
firsthand?
No, I didn't. Fortunately, in the theater we went to, it was pretty tame and there was no chicken jockey reaction. But as soon as I got home, I started seeing things pop up. I was like, this is dumb. I hate the internet. But here we are, 2025. This is what we do now. Anyways, that's my last pick. Agricola as Minecraft Ola.
It sounds like a drink.
Yeah, it does. So our choices are Hansa Teutonica in space, Comic Hunters as Vinyl Record Hunters, Agricola as Minecraftula, Clank, a deck building game as Clank Thulu, Great Western Trail as Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, and Wingspan as Pokespan.
I think we did a good job. I'm really excited for this one, actually. I want to go make these games right now.
Of all those 6, I would say that Wingspan as Pokespan has got to be the most likely.
Yeah, you think so?
I think
I'll
so.
send an email to Jamie Stegmeyer right now.
Yeah, I think we're only a few Wingspan iterations away from it happening. All right, that takes us to the outro. We got to talk about what we're doing outside of board games, Harrison. We do other things with our lives, right?
Sometimes, occasionally. I got 2 real small ones. One, I'm back on the Bazaar. All right, I
Oh,
complained about this auto battler game because the developers did some aggressive monetization and it didn't feel good, and then they were kind of doubling down and being weird about it. Well,
Yep.
guess what? They made an oopsie. They undid everything. They went back and they fixed the monetization, and they gave a bunch of stuff to people who bought stuff in the beta, like myself. And then they released a new character, and so I've been going back and playing that. And boy, that's a fun game. I like it. It is released now. It is free to play. Monetization is still there. It's a little bit to get into it if you want to like get all the characters right away, but you can play it totally for free and get them still.
Do you need to have
and-
more than one character, or can you just play one single one?
You can play one character. Yeah. Each character has their like own set of cards, like a Slay the Spire thing that they have access to. So you can play
Okay.
just one character. Actually, the default character that you start with, Vanessa the pirate, is one of my go-to anyway. So like she's super good to start with.
Okay, I'm downloading it right now.
Yeah, there you go. It's a lot of fun. PC and iOS, or not iOS, PC and Mac right now only, with intent to come to mobile at some point in the future. But it's not there yet.
Okay.
And then other thing, I guess you can cut one of these if it gets too long. But we started on a whim just watching the Netflix series The Residents. Have you seen this one or heard of this one?
Never.
Okay, so this is a newer show, I think, that is a crime caper. It is about a murder committed at the White House and one detective coming in and like trying to untangle the whole thing over the course of one evening.
Okay, wow.
And it is just, the characters are so well written and performed. Every single character that's on screen is just incredible to watch. They do a good job with like representation. Like a large majority of the cast are people of color and women. It is mind blowing. The lead detective is, I'm gonna forget her name now, so give me a moment while I fix that because I'm uninformed.
Uzo Aduba.
Yes, yeah. So the lead is Uzo Aduba, who previously won awards for her role as, I think it was Crazy Eyes in Orange is the New Black. She's just phenomenal. She does this incredible detective character. Kylie Minogue is in it as herself. You've got Giancarlo Esposito. Everyone knows him as the crazy guy from Breaking Bad. It's just got a ton of awesome people in it. Super fantastic. I think it's only 8 episodes. We're 6 in, and just, it's great. If you love mysteries, if you love comedies, it's got a little bit of all that. Excellent characters. Go watch it now. It's awesome.
It's kind of like a whodunit style.
Yep. A crime caper murder mystery. Someone described it to me as like the movie Clue, and that's all I needed. I was like, "Yep, I'm in. That sounds fun."
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds like something we'd watch over here.
What about you, Corey? What have you been spending time on besides playing all these awesome board games?
Well, like I said, I went to Minecraft, but I also went to the Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee this past weekend with mutual friend John, who we talk about frequently on this podcast. Midwest Gaming Classic is a huge convention at the Baird Center in Milwaukee, which is our big convention center downtown. And I think it originated as an arcade gaming convention. That's a big part of it. There's a lot of arcade games you can play, pinball machines, but it's also a retro video game kind of swap meet. There's a lot of rooms you can go in and see rare and older relics of the video gaming history. Lots of things I didn't recognize, but mutual friend John knows them well and told me all about them, including the Vectrex, which is self-contained screen, and like basically what happens is it displays just green lines on a dark screen. But what you do is you put a piece of film in front of the screen and it adds the color to it, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So really early on, let's see a year of that one. The Vectrex. Oh boy. 1982. 1983. So this was like one of the early gaming systems, but that was one of many that we encountered, and it just happens to be the one I can remember. But lots of cool old Japanese games and rarities and things like that. And it's interesting to see how collectible those things can be when a lot of them never get played or taken out of their boxes, and they're like, "Oh, that's a $300 game that no one plays or even enjoys to play when they do." But it just happens to be rare and something that people are willing to pay for.
That's super cool. Yeah, you guys invited me to go with it. It just didn't work out for me this time. But you were one of several friends who went to go, and I hear nothing but amazing things about it. So glad to
Yeah.
hear you enjoyed yourselves. That's
Yeah,
that's
it
cool.
was fun. Huge convention, lots of people, and lots of other things going on too. I mean, there were like replica cars, actual cars built to look like the Mirthmobile and the DeLorean from Back to the Future and the Blues Brothers ride and stuff like that. So those were fun to see, take pictures by. We saw wrestling, a live wrestling event in the vendor hall,
Oh,
which was
nice.
awesome. Um, and we saw a live performance of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Basically, the current
Oh,
host of that, Jonah Ray, was there to talk about his feelings as they occurred on an old Atari Jaguar commercial, or infomercial, I should say, which was ridiculous in and of itself. That he didn't have to do much because it was already just insane to watch. So yeah, lots of fun. I would recommend it. Happens every year in April, early April. And if you enjoy the things I just listed, as well as paying $17 for a beer, this is for you.
oh, you sold me there. You didn't tell me that when you invited me earlier. I
Yeah, well, I
love paying
didn't.
$17 for a beer.
Yeah,
16, no thank you. 18, 17's where it's at.
that's right. I mean, I bought a soda for 6.50 too. It's just that kind of thing. You know, they got you in the convention.
Yep.
You're trapped, so you got to pay the price. But there's lots of good food around the area. We could have just walked across the street if we wanted to save money, and we didn't. So, anyways, that brings us to the end. We'll catch you next week on Adamantly Analog. But before we go, I'd like to just shout out the ways you can support us. It's easy. Click the follow, like, or subscribe button on the podcast player of your choice, or YouTube if you're listening there. We love it. That's what we do this for. It's all about the likes. They keep us going. They put food on the table. Not really.
They do for me. Well, metaphorically speaking, emotionally
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah. So, anyways, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Adamantly Analog is Corey Murphy and Harrison Dunn. Original themes and bumper music by Corey Murphy. Reach us at adamantlyanalog@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.